So, as a business coach, as I am, you guys, my name's Lonnie Fatiti Perkins, and I'm a business coach. I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a strategist of military viewpoints also. I'm a everything in one type of woman, of empowerment type of woman, sorry, you guys, I like to sit in nature. It's nature when I feel my strongest. Because spiritually, I feel more connection to the divine openness of knowledge that I should know. But everything is basically of knowledge from like what is on this world for us to know as humans to know. So yeah. But like I said, as a business coach of understanding as a woman, and everything else I do in my life also. Because you guys know I'm in porn, in the adult entertainment industry. I do that. I'm a therapist, a holistic therapist. I'm a sex therapist for individual therapy. I'm so much in one for a woman to believe to be. I got my 2 educations in skincare and computers as my 2 degrees to learn to know about for myself as a young age. Yeah, I've been through my abuse and I made myself stronger each day as a woman to believe to be true. So, but as a business coach, I wanted to say something. All this hard work I'm doing now is so I can live how? Like a king. Put the slave in type of work. Like work like a slave, right? That's what we're working like. We're putting our hours in. We're sweating, pushing out more production, making sure the company goes is what we're trying to aspire for. And what are we doing still? We're pushing and pushing. We're putting all this hard work in. And where do we go? Where do we go? Tired, aged out, and everything else. It's not always in a bad type of viewpoint. People want to know the bad before the good. But in the good understanding of what it is teaching you, it's teaching you how working like a slave to live like a king is a bigger overview or perspective of goals. I'm working hard like a slave will work. So one day I can see the maximum benefits of my reward to live like a king, right? That's what I will understand. I'm doing all this hard work for something, not nothing, right? There's something that I'm inspiring to see for myself to believe, to be true for myself to believe, right? It's like, come on now. So I'm working like a slave so I may live like a king. A lot of people will be thinking like, oh, you working too hard there. Like you doing like working like a slave to live like a king and to come up like a king from a woman viewpoint too. I'm putting all this hard work in now so I can live like a king later. Right? Isn't that the overview for a woman to believe too? As a woman empowerment coach, I'm speaking on that. In this business professional world where men feel like they make the final say so. But I'm speaking knowledge to let other women know that at least there's a woman coach to believe to be true in. Because she's going to speak it how the foundation of set in business actually works and exactly the motion of how business sells and everything else, how it follows. So customers' engagement, how customer engaged with you and how they felt after they heard from your messages and exactly what knowledge they need to know and store into you to know. So that way they can stand stronger each day, best to be told, So as a business coach, this is for men and women to know. Work like a slave so you may live like a king. Work like a slave so you may live like a king. That's what's best to be told to know. All this hard work I'm doing now will benefit me later in the years to come. Because I'm working like a slave, following their rules, doing everything they say, especially in this game of life, especially being a black woman, especially going from everything I came up to be to become where I am now to believe it to be true. I'm working like a slave so I may live like a king. Isn't that like the final overview of what the conversation should believe to be true in myself? All this hard work I'm doing now is adding up to something greater later. So I'm working like a slave so I may build like a king. So I can learn the lessons and knowledge that my slave master viewpoint if you wanted to think history viewpoint, because that's how people view labor. I'm just saying it like that. People view labor as a transaction for slavery viewpoint. Like, I'm working so that way I'm consuming my time so I get something in return. My time for return. My time for return. You know, because that's how basically business is. It's a transaction. You know, so of course, but in the labor market, because people who are like Africans Americans, you know, of course, I don't always. I'm a member of African American community, so of course I'm speaking for that viewpoint. You know, to let them know, especially as an African American woman too. You know, so it's like, yeah, you know, yes, I have some mixed inbreeding in me also. Meaning, it's not inbreeding; it's like mixed breeding. You know, but if you think slavery viewpoints, you know, that's something that you could think about, but it's not too much to think about in reality. It's just, you know, and if it is, it is. If you wanted to find down your ancestry notebook, that's what you have to build up to find. I'm just speaking on that viewpoints too, because, you know, I had my son from that product of viewpoints, you know, with my brother, you know, so, you know, but it was dynasties ago. This was years ago. It wasn't like in this century now, you know, so yeah. You know, so it's like, it's not as formidable no more unless you're older age, because I looked it up. But of course, you know, that's legal responsibility of conversations, of course, because I'm a legal coach to believe to be true too, you know. So yeah, but on those types of application on like marriages viewpoint, you know, it's like same-sex marriage, I agree with, of course. I believe that there's love out there for someone to be true. That's why there's so many people in this world to believe to be true. That's why there's somebody out there that's for you, that will want to nurture you and build you up. Mine is God. I chose God before any other man, you know, because God was the first center of my fold of my life, of the strength that he encouraged me to learn every day and night, so I could keep working and working on everything else. I have to inspire for myself to say, I did it. Oh my God, I did all this. But as a woman, I did all this. I did all this as a woman, you know. And yeah, I have my masculine side, yeah, of course. But I use my masculine side to encourage me even more. You know, especially being born with a birth defect and being intersex, you know, and having a birth defect and having all these other scenarios that I had to face in my life as a woman to believe to be true. I speak on that. That's what I speak in. So it's like the love in myself that I had a long, long time ago, from the beginning of womanhood of time. It teaches me the knowledge that I know and to inspire myself to be true, to believe to be true. Like, I came from nowhere and I pushed myself to somewhere, you know, as a woman, you know, without having to rely on the source of a man to provide everything for me to have. You know, like, do you know how much of inspiration that feels as a woman to best believe to be true? That I could do the same things you are talking about you're doing in your life as a man. But the moment a woman do it, that's when the shoe has to sit differently in a viewpoint. Like, oh, now a woman's going after all this. She's going off after all these dreams, trying to make a name for herself without having my name attachment. Just to benefit from, like, oh, we know your name because of your husband, without knowing your name for you to believe to be true. You know, like, I know my ancestors, because, you know, 3,000 years ago, 3,500 years ago was a long time ago. That's when King Tut was here on this earth. That's when Queen Nefertiti was here on this earth. You know, so yeah, I'm here, Nefertiti's here, you know, so yeah. So of course, in the overview on that, it goes deeper of a level of what a woman wanted to do in her life. Especially if it's me too, you know, as the second reason why I'm here again. So I could best inspire myself to see, now the card's in your favor. So what would you want to inspire to see to be true? For a woman's viewpoint. You know, the strength as a woman. The woman code, a deeper woman code as a woman, that's still trying to make it just remembrance as a woman getting it. So that way I can speak the knowledge of myself to be true. That I'm here for a reason. And as a reason, I will follow that reason. And I'll guide and nurture everything part of that reason. So when I get to where I'm going, and remind myself of the overview, I remember all the strengths and all the weaknesses I had to build those strengths even more. So that way I can stand as tall as a man. I'm 6 feet, just so that you guys know. But to stand as tall as a man would and say, look, I've done something in my life too. And especially as a woman, where my ancestors could be proud of me as, to know now she spoke the knowledge to be true too. You know, being born as an intersex female and with mental health and everything else I had to face in this world as the teachings what God wanted to teach me day in and day out. Of course, there's some overviews of my mindset too, but you gotta understand, baby, I wasn't blessed, I was gifted. I was gifted this chance to see again. I was gifted. I take the manners of every